In fact, I'll set that up right now. Hold okay. Hold on one second here. Okay. Uh, just 1 second. So, Mark, can you hear that music now? Probably too loud, I'm guessing. Mm. Hold on. Just a second here. All right. So, it's a great, great pleasure to be with you here on this Sunday evening. And tonight I want to talk about the idea that our dreams really keep us going in life. Our dreams give us energy and vitality. And it's so critical to not give them up. As we move through life, it's so easy for any of us and all of us to suddenly just start believing that it's not possible, that we are foolish to have believed in things. Last week I was interviewing Ken Rashawn, and he had his little son, his little 11-year-old son on the radio. And he was talking about the fact that he had all these dreams. He was so excited about so many things. His little 11-year-old, or soon to be 12. And what really hit me is that I was looking back at my own life when I was 11 and 12 and 14, 15, 16, 17, whatever. Hey, Debbie, how you doing? Or even in my 20s. And I believed all things were possible. And I've tried to keep that state of mind going in my life. I really, really have. That's where this book came from, the Gateway book, because this book is all about believing in your dreams. That's what it's all about. And I've been working on something related to a new publication of the book. And I've been reading it a lot myself. And it's kind of suddenly re-imbued me with that sense of that this world is a place of limitless opportunity. So what I want to say to each one of you is I invite you to stay tuned tonight. If you want to reignite your dreams about life, if you want to turn the switch on and power in your existence, then what I encourage you to do is stay tuned and go on this journey with me over the next 45 minutes or so, and just open yourself to the idea that miraculous possibilities surround you even as we speak. Miraculous possibilities. Whatever you think is going on in your life, wherever you are in your life, miraculous possibilities are surrounding you. And not only that, but you can reignite your dreams. You can reignite your dreams. You can start to believe in the things that excited you. So here's the thing about life. Our dreams become the motivation and the power that inspires us to take action. A lot of motivational speakers will put it this way. You have to have a why. That's W-H-Y. You have to have a reason for what you're doing. And for most people, this is one of the challenges people have as they're getting older. If you don't have a strong enough why, as you get older, your life energy will simply shrink and it'll just contract. And that's not going to be good for you or for anybody else. And yet, without realizing it, that's what does happen to a lot of us as we grow older. So it's a constant journey, our whole life, to reignite our dreams, maybe readjust them, to maybe in tune with your new dreams, because you may have revised your dreams some. But if you don't keep them alive one way or another, life will start to feel like a downhill journey. So the whole purpose tonight, I only have one purpose, Debbie and anybody else listening tonight, listening on the radio or anywhere else, is to get each one of you excited about you again, excited about your life again, excited about the possibilities of your life. Here's what I want you to think of a couple of things here as people get older. A lot of times people start to think, well, it's too late to start my dreams. Well, let me just give you a few examples of people who might have thought that, but didn't choose to. Some of these are well known, but I'm going to repeat them anyway, because they're valuable to be remembered. Kentucky Fried Chicken, started by Colonel Sanders. I think it was actually in the 60s when that came out, if not the 70s. And what happened was he got to his retirement age, 65 years old, and he discovered he was making like $35 a month, which even back then was not very much money. And he decided that he didn't want to live on that small budget. So he got into an old station wagon and he started driving around the country. And his idea was to sell people an idea that he could have a recipe of chicken that they could market together. And when people got that recipe, this would be successful. And he started going around to one place after the next in his 60s in this old station wagon. One place after another, one place after another. He literally went to over 1,000 places. 1,000 places. And I always think to myself, wow, how hard have I persisted in my life? What about you? How hard have you persisted in your life? But he didn't let people talk him out. I mean, I want you to seriously think about this for a minute. Suppose you were Colonel Sanders and you got to your 50th rejection, your 50th. Do you think you might have started thinking, well, I think it's time to give up. It must have been a bad idea. I guess I better just find somebody to share an apartment with or something, and I'll just have to live on a small budget. Debbie's saying KFC started in 1952. Interesting. That's very, very interesting. That's probably when he started his own place, but who knows when it exactly got started. All I know is he was at retirement age when it started. But again, I want you to think about yourself. So let's say it's you. You've got a dream. And I can think of dreams like me too. And you haven't succeeded yet. And maybe you've had just a certain number of no's and lack of success. And you're starting to think, well, I think maybe I was kind of foolish to think I could ever make my dreams come true. You're starting to back off. Maybe you're thinking that, well, maybe everybody else is right. Maybe, Debbie's giving me some other good advice. I like this. Debbie Hall, by the way, very sweet young lady who listens pretty much every week and always gives me a lot of good ideas. Walt Disney was rejected 300 times to build Disneyland. You know, I did not know that, Debbie. I have a section about him in my book, the Gateway book. And I know that he was rejected. And I also know he went through financial failure. By the way, these are the kinds of things you may have to encounter. Walt Disney came to California to investigate his dreams. And while he was gone, one of his employees basically stole his major client. And when he got back home, it was like he was going to go out of business. So it wasn't like Disneyland just sort of slid into existence, didn't require any commitment. He had to face all kinds of reversals. And lots of people. But actually, I'm going to come back to Disneyland one second. But I want to finish one thought about Colonel Sanders. So Colonel Sanders, he didn't give up after the 50th time, the 100th time, even the 500th time. He went through about 1,000 times. And finally somebody said, okay, let's give this a shot. And that went on to becoming a worldwide chain and eventually was purchased by a major company. But the bottom line, though, is thousands and thousands, millions and millions of people have had his chicken because he didn't give up. When he was 89 years old, when you think about this, 89, he had 13,000 people to his birthday party. So I want you to think about this. Janet just got on here, who's going to be on a little bit with us later. I want you to think when you get to 89, you're going to want 13,000 people at your birthday party, Janet, or me, or maybe you, Debbie, or maybe we'll all be at the same party. That's what we need to open our hearts to. We need to rejuvenate our dreams. And every single one of us could say many reasons why we don't know if it's even realistic. That's okay. If you have a big dream, it has to be beyond being realistic. Most every greater dream that's ever changed this world for the better was considered impossible by almost everyone. In fact, there's a quote almost to that exact effect from Thomas Edison. And so the point is, whether it's Henry Ford with his idea of the horseless carriage and making them affordable for the average person, whether it's Thomas Edison in his idea, he first started out with a telegram and a telegraph. Then he came up with the idea of the phone and the phone, as they say, the phonogram and phonograph, radio record players. He came up with all these different ideas. And each one of them, people have said were impossible or unrealistic. But somehow, and you know what's really amazing about Thomas Edison for a second here? Thomas Edison was kicked out of school. They told his mother that he was learning disabled after the very first semester of school when he was a kid. And she brought him home and said, honey, I'm improvising this part. You are not learning disabled, and I'm going to prove it to you. So she became his teacher. And as a matter of fact, and so she just went on and taught him and everything he knew. And you know what? He went on later and said his mother was most responsible for his success. He became the most successful inventor this country has ever known. But his teacher in the first grade, or whatever grade it was he entered in, told him he was learning disabled and told his mother that. What if they'd believed that? What if his mom said, gosh, honey, she probably wouldn't have said it to him, but she would have told her friends, I guess my kid's learning disabled. He's never going to really amount to much of anything. Suppose she had raised him like that. What do you think would have happened? Any of you who are listening? My friends, we're going to go to a break in just a second. But I want you to think, send me a message. What do you think would have happened if his mother believed the school when they told him that he wasn't going to accomplish anything, that he was learning disabled? If he had followed that, we never would have heard of him. So this is Robert Sidell. You're listening to The Gateway Show. I'll be back in just a moment. For those of you on the radio and those of you on FaceTime, I'll be right here with you still. Stay tuned. It's Robert Sidell. This is about rejuvenating your dreams tonight, becoming young again. So my friends, right, no movies, no electric lights. You're right, Debbie. So my friends, here's what I want you to think about. Pretty much every important invention, the majority of people do think are impossible. And you're absolutely right, Debbie. She's saying all sorts of other facets in our lives wouldn't have happened. So you have to decide. I heard a good speaker, and I interviewed her on my radio show about a month ago. Her last name is Sherelle. Well, maybe that's her first name. I apologize. She's Mrs. United States. I had her on here a little over a month ago. And one of the things she said is you have to be one of the crazy ones. You have to be one of the crazy ones. Crazy ones are the ones who believe in their dreams. The Wright brothers were crazy ones. They believed they could fly. And they did the most amazing kind. And I've seen the original Kitty Hawk plane they flew in back in the Smithsonian Institution. I've seen it. It's still there. And you know what? They were crazy. They just put this little engine on these wings and put like basically bicycle parts on the bottom, and they just tried to take off. Now, most people would probably say that's crazy. And you want to know something? Their own father said that to them. Their own father told them, he said, if man was meant to fly, he would have wings. So here they were persisting in this crazy dream that an aircraft propelled by a motor could fly. And it was a crazy dream. And they risked their lives. I mean, they could have easily crashed and died. Could have easily died. These two brothers, but you see, they were too crazy to be wise. In other words, they were foolish in the eyes of the world. But that foolishness got them to explore the possibility of heavier than air flying machine, motorized flying machine. And you know what? That began the beginning. It was like in 1904, I think. But the real point I want to say to you about that. So let's say it was 1904. Just a little over 100 years ago. Just a guy driving along on bicycle parts over sand dunes, and I think their first flight was a little over 30 seconds. I can get the exact time. If you want to put it on there, Debbie, I'll tell them what it is. But it was very short. But it was enough for them to discover their system was working. That step forward, my friends, now led to you and I being able to get on jet airplanes and fly all around the country in just minutes, hours. It's hard to believe. I fly over to California for various reasons. It takes me about 45 minutes. That's it. All right, my friends, it's Robert Sidell. It's a great pleasure to be with you here on this Sunday evening. This world is a miraculous kingdom. And it's a place where you got to dream your way. You've got to dream your future and then bring that future into reality. And that's really all advancement of humanity Let's see. Debbie, all advancing humanity has been about people too crazy to give up. The crazy ones. The ones that believe that even if they're getting older, it's not over. Here you go. Debbie's got the information for me. All right, Debbie, I like this. On December 17th, 1903, Wilbur and Orville Wright achieved the first successful airplane flight at Kill Devil Hills near Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. Oh, it's even shorter time than I thought it was. Their first flight was, let's get this, folks, this overwhelmingly long flight, 12 seconds. 12 seconds. Covered 120 feet, reaching a top speed of 6.8 miles an hour. That's pretty, I didn't know it was quite that slow. So they were going 6 miles an hour. That's about as fast as you can run. And there was an altitude of 10 feet. You know, I knew it was, I definitely knew it was short, but I'm so glad you gave me that information, Debbie. 10 feet high, 6.8 miles an hour, and in a 12-second flight, 120 feet long. These crazy guys in 1903. But they took that chance, they put it together, they made it happen, and that one idea, that one step forward, was like an explosion. It was a step into a new reality. And now, you and I can get in an airplane, go across the ocean to Hawaii or anywhere in just hours. In comfort, too. We can usually get some food and whatever. Even read the internet sometimes. So I want you to think about that. Just a little over a century ago, these guys were crazy guys sitting there in their bicycle shop. Hey, Wilbur and Orville Wright, I bet you we could make something fly. And nobody had ever done that successfully before. Nobody had ever successfully flown a motorized aircraft. But they did it anyway. And that one step forward led to a gigantic change in the nature of this reality. It just flipped the paradigm and said, we can do this. And suddenly, that was the beginning of heavier than air flight. But what if they'd been too scared? What if they believed their own father in this case? What if they had believed anybody that was saying this is crazy or stupid, it's too risky? They could have said, I think they're right. I'm scared. I don't want to do that. But instead, they dared to dream, and they let their dreams cause them to take action. And the action they took changed the world. I mean, it changed everything. Changed absolutely everything. And coming back now to Thomas Edison for a minute, he has so many different ideas in his head, and that he just wasn't willing to give up. People would tell him all the time, this is a crazy idea, Thomas Edison. And he would just do it anyway. And like the electric light bulb, I went down to Florida to see his lab down in Florida. And when I went there, this is like in 1985 or something. It's been quite a while ago now. Get this, it's actually honest to God truth. The original light bulbs that he made were still working and had never burned out. That was in the 1980s. And he had made them way back either in the late 1890s or right in that time period. So you can look that up too, Debbie, if you want. I don't mean to give you all this work, Debbie. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. But my point is, my friends, is that you have to be one of the crazy ones. Colonel Sanders, can you imagine what his friends were probably telling him? Hey, listen, they probably were saying, be realistic. You've already been turned down a bunch of times. Nobody wants your chicken recipe. Nobody wanted their chicken recipe. And he could have just said, yeah, you're probably right. He would have been just sort of sitting there like a lot of people, and he would have been 80 years old or 70 years old, and it would have been all over for him. He probably would have gotten whatever, poor health, whatever, given up on his dreams. So tonight, but he didn't do that. He was one of the crazy ones. So I want you to be one of the crazy ones who believes in your dreams, even though everybody else might think it's stupid, foolish, ignorant. Now, I'm not encouraging you to do stuff that's against your best interest. You have to check it out. But still, there's all sorts of dreams, and they don't even have to be daring or adventuresome. They can be very simple. It's like learning how to dance at a certain age, or knowing there's love waiting for you and not giving up if that's what you want. Knowing there's somebody waiting for you. Knowing there's an answer, a better way to do your business. Knowing that there's everything is like that. McDonald's is like that too. I McDonald's. Some of you have seen. There's a whole documentary called The Founder, and these guys came up with this idea of making very streamlined, inexpensive hamburgers, and but they never got the idea of how to spread it into a big business. They just were doing it in their own place. And so this guy came along. I don't even remember his name. I could look it up. It doesn't matter. And he negotiated with them and says, if you give me the rights, I'll market this business. And sure enough, he did succeed. And there's a whole backstory on that, and I'm not even going to try to get into that right now. But the bottom line is, he came upon a business that everybody else saw too, but he saw it as a business opportunity. And so Debbie's this is fun, Debbie. The Centennial light bulb installed in 1901 is still burning in a fire station in Livermore, California. That's just like I'm talking about. It's considered the world's longest burning light bulb, has been recognized by Guinness World Records. The bulb's longevity is attributed to factors like continuous operation, a strong carbon filament, low wattage, and a controlled environment. That's just like me. I went down there, looked at the light bulb, walked through his lab. He was one of my heroes back then. That was like in 1985. Been a long time ago now. What is that, 40 years ago now? I think it's something like that. Maybe not quite 40. Yeah, I think it is 40. So I want you to just think about that. What dreams in you could you bring back out that are accumulating dust? My friend Andy is saying, create something to look forward to. A dinner at a restaurant, a Vegas show, a pool party. Dream the impossible dream. Jim Neighbors version. Yeah, I like Jim Neighbors. He was a fun guy. He did a good job singing that song. That's what keeps us happy. You know, my dad lived to 99 and a half. And one of the things I think that kept him living, he always had a dream, something else he was working on, some new possibility, whether it's a new relationship, whether it's a new job, whether a new trip. When he was 92, he went all the way to Antarctica and walked on the Arctic snow, Antarctic snow, I should say. And I have pictures of him standing there. And so he kept that dream going. And he went with members of my family. So here he is, 92. A lot of people don't make it that long. And none of us know how long we're going to get to make it. But you got to have a dream. You got to believe. If you believe the best is yet to come, it can come. Let me give you a few more examples of people that started things later in their life. There's just so many examples of it. Some of you that are not quite as old as me, but probably remember going to airports and different places and seeing people chanting the Hare Krishna mantras. You know, the Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And they would try to sell books and all sorts of things. But here's the interesting thing about them. The guy, I find this kind of halfway amusing. The guy who started that whole organization in the United States was from India. And one day he was looking for a book that he had written and had a lot of important stuff in it. And his wife had thrown it out. And suddenly he got upset. He said, that's it. I'm moving on. It's a new beginning. And so he suddenly got on a boat going to the United States, what's called a tramp liner, where you just pay like next to nothing back then anyway. I don't know what they cost now. And it was almost free. And you just have to ride along, and it's not designed really for tourists at all. And he got on that boat, and he got to the United States. I think he had like $50 total, or even less maybe. And he showed up here. He went to Central Park in New York City and started chanting his chants. And it was a convergence of many different things: good luck, divine grace, you can call it whatever you want to call it. But it was the hippie era, and there were a lot of people hanging around, and they liked it, and he started bringing food. And next thing you know, he had an organization that was blowing up. It was expanding really fast. And he started opening centers all over, and over the United States. He had a center in Laguna Beach. I used to go visit. They had really good food there, and I used to go and get food there. And so it's still there in Laguna Beach. They still have their center down there. And all because a crazy guy at age 70 got annoyed that his wife threw something out, started a new life, followed his passion, came over here, and started a whole new beginning, to the point where there were literally temples all over with the religion that he was sharing. So and there's so many examples like that of people that just were crazy and chose to believe in their dreams and kept going for those dreams. And out of that, whole new possibilities opened up. So whoever you are, wherever you are, and I want you to keep listening to it tonight. There's a dream inside of you. It could be very simple. It doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to invent an airplane. You don't have to do any of these things. Uh, you have to just be willing to believe in yourself. What's there burning in your heart? What's burning in your soul? What would excite you as a person? Give you a why. Could be something that inspires you as your grandchildren. Could be your spouse. It could be anything. What would excite you about life? What would make you excited to wake up in the mornings? You see, that's what we have to be. We have to be excited to wake up in the mornings, where we think life is an exciting, unbelievable adventure. And you want the very best that life has to offer. You have to have that dream inside your soul. You have to have that dream inside of you, and you have to ignite it again. Take it off the shelf where it's been sitting there accumulating dust. Think about it. It's accumulating dust because you gave up on it. Now, you don't have to go back to the exact same dream. Like I said, maybe you want to revise it. Maybe you want a new vision, a new possibility. But you've got to open your heart. This is Robert Sidell. You're listening to The Gateway Show. We're going to be back in a minute. We're going to go to a break. I'll stay with you on Facebook. For those of you on the radio, I'll be back on very shortly after the break, talking about how you can reignite your dreams and unleash your energy within. Stay tuned. This is Robert Sidell, The Gateway Show. So, my friends, it's a daily journey for all of us. All of us. I'm 73 now. I've been practicing law for 48 years. Can you believe that? I mean, it may not be hard for you to believe, but it's hard for me to believe. 48 years. And you know what? Um, I still get wonderful clients. We get wonderful results. And you know what? It's been a miracle. Now my son works for me. My grandson's in the office. My wife is in the office. We have a very happy experience. We open ourselves all the time to trying to develop a close relationship to our clients, where they become friends. And that means I suddenly have a whole pool of friends. They're uplifting my life. They come by the office, they say hi, call me, refer their friends, all these things. It's like a network. I have people all the time, you'd be surprised. First came to see me in the 90s, and they refer somebody. One of my good friends that I got to was one of my clients back in the early 1990s. He went with me to the movie, The Gateway, not The Gateway, The Casino. I was in that movie, the Casino movie, with Robert De Niro. It was a fun scene. He actually had a speaking part to me, and I had a speaking part to him. But I met him way back then. Literally, just on Friday, he referred a case to me. And so I had a nice called him and had a nice conversation with him. I first met him over 30 years ago. And here he is, still a good friend. Friends keep us alive. Are there people you'd like to be friends with? Are there things you'd like to do? What could you do to reignite the spirit of love in your life? That's what I want you to think about. Be like Andy. Andy, by the way, does a great job of getting out and helping people connect with people that have similar needs and desires. That's one of his special gifts. Now he's working for the World Series of Poker. The World Series of Poker. And I'm sure and I went over there last year with him, and that's just a kind of an amazing experience. All these men, it's mostly men actually. And it was very interesting to see all these guys sitting there with their chips, and all you hear in the room is all these chips rattling away. It's really funny, actually. If I haven't played poker probably for like 50 years probably. So I think for me, it would not be a good idea, but it's still fun for me to see it. So my friends who are listening, I want to challenge you to reach down in your consciousness and think about what dreams you're waiting for. Oh, we're back on the radio. Hold on. Good evening, this is Robert Sidell. Great pleasure to be with you here on this Sunday evening in June 2025. It's kind of amazing, actually. We are welcome you back to the Gateway Show on every Sunday night, 6 to 7 p.m. live. And I enjoy being on this show. It's a weekly opportunity either to have a guest or to have a message that reminds me of what's important in my life. And hopefully the same with you. Because you've got to keep it's I always like to tell people, I don't care what age you're at. You could be in your 20s or you could be in your 60s. Doesn't matter. Or your 70s or even 80s. There's a lady who comes to my prayer group that literally has been coming for over 35 years or 30 years. And she's now like 85. And I just, what an amazing longevity on her part. In other words, that she's just not willing to give up. She lost her husband, and she still comes because she knows it's important to her. That's what you got to do. You got to stay involved. So what are some of the things you can do to stir up those dreams again? Let me give you some ideas, some simple ideas. But they work. Start saying yes to opportunities. Say yes to invitations as much as you can. Say yes to new possibilities. Don't try to think of how realistic it is. Just start saying yes all the time. Because those yeses will open a whole channel of yeses for you. It'll open up doorways of new possibilities that you never could have imagined. See, that's the whole thing for us in this life. It doesn't matter where you're at. There's a young man I met in his early 30s, and he's already saying, it's too late for me. My kids are going to have to do it. I thought, wow, if he thinks it's too late for him to accomplish his dreams, he's only in his early 30s, we're all in trouble. And the sad part about that is he doesn't know much about this world. How many people, their major successes came later in their lives. It's all a matter of whether you give up or not. It's all a matter of whether you find something that you feel is God's purpose for you. And you can feel that purpose when you feel a sense of excitement and wonder and joy and love. See, one of my great dreams is the reason why I do this show is because I know there's a kind of love that we human beings can share that can turn this world into a heaven experience. I know that from the depth of my heart. I know that. And I'm not going to give up in my life sharing that love in large and small ways as long as I'm alive. And you know what? How far is it going to go? I have no idea. That's in God's hands. But I'm not going to give up because I know God, as much as we have become accustomed to some of the limitations of this world, the tribulations of this world, it's not really God's wish for us. God's wish for you, I'm sure of this, and for me too, is to thrive and succeed and be like a tree that grows and blooms and has beautiful fruit on it. And the Bible's filled with all sorts of examples like that. God wants you to be like that tree. God wants you to be a tree that not only gives fruit to other people, but gives shade to other people and gives them inspiration, hope, and happiness. That's what God wants for you and me. And that's why I do this show, to remind me to not give up on my dreams, to keep believing and say, well, what have I given up on? What have I stopped believing in? And I was just thinking about it today, what things I've stopped believing in and sort of started to give up on a little bit. It's very easy. For those of you younger may not know this, but as you get older, you start seeing a lot of people retiring, and I'm not against retirement. Listen, it can be great. I have a brother who retired in his 50s, and he's had a great time ever since then. So God bless you. If you're retired, that's great. But somehow, whether you're retired or otherwise, you got to keep your dreams going. You got to keep your dreams going. I just heard a guy speak at a luncheon I went to on last Wednesday. He just retired in the last month or two. And he says, I think I retired too early. I'm sitting home when I'm bored. So, of course, the other people at luncheon were telling him, no, you'll like it. And probably you will, I'm guessing. But the point I'm getting at is, even if you retire, you've got to have dreams. Otherwise, life will just start to be like a boring experience. You got to have a purpose for your life. Could be love. Could be a new dream. Could be traveling to someplace you've never been before. Could be learning how to cook, learning how to dance. It could be a new relationship that fills your heart with love. Some of you, I knew a woman quite well. I remember talking to her about love. This goes back about 10 or 15 years ago. And she was telling me, she says, She's never known love her whole life. And I'm thinking to myself, first of all, I think that's sad. It's sad, and I hope none of you feel that way. I mean, maybe some of you do feel that way. I don't know, but what I do want to say is, right now, for each one of you, there's a kind of love, and I can tell you this much for sure: that will change your whole life. Even if you've never met another person, the love of God is like a great romance. Believe it or not, I don't see that seems kind of crazy to say that, but you can really experience a relationship with God that is like a romantic experience. It fills you with so much joy and so much happiness. So that's the first place you could start. Doesn't require anybody else's agreement. Doesn't require anybody else's cooperation. You could let that love be ignited in your soul and in your heart and in your spirit, and start to become excited about life itself. Now, I have to warn you, if you do that, if you let the love of God become ignited in your soul, if you let the love of God stream through you to other people, you're going to have, if you're single, you're going to have people that want to be with you. And if you're married, as I am, you'll get friends. And that's good. That's wonderful. For me in my life, hey, Tim, nice to see you on there. Tim's a nice guy that lives down in Texas. It is an amazing era, Tim, that we're in, that we can connect together virtually like this, so effortlessly. It's really, that's why I know that this world could take off in a way. I talked earlier, Tim, about the Wright brothers, how they came up with this crazy idea of heavier than air flying machines and sparked a revolution that changed the world. And now, in that one, their first flight was like 120 feet in 10 seconds, 12 seconds. I had the exact details. My friend, one of my people listening, gave them to me. So, what dreams right now could be you and I could take that could be like that same choice that changes the paradigm, the possibility of life? What could we do that could excite people about the purpose of their life, that could fill people with love and grace and happiness, and begin to change the possibility of what it means to be a human being on this earth? That is my dream. Just like those crazy Wright brothers, and the reason why I say they're crazy is a lot of people thought they were. A lot of people thought Thomas Edison was crazy. A lot of people thought Walt Disney was crazy. Most people, as I was saying before, people thought Einstein was crazy. And all these people were crazy in a way compared to the mainstream worldview, because they all had ideas that were different than other people. People thought Henry Ford was crazy. His relatives, they thought he could never really work. How can you create a car for the average person at a fair price? All these different things. And that's the story of life over and over and over again. Story is, you get a dream. When you're at Disneyland, there's a bench. There's an exhibit called Walt Disney, and not Walt Disney. It's about Abraham Lincoln. And in the front of that place, up at the very front of Disneyland, you walk in there and there's a bench with a plaque on it. And so this is the bench Walt Disney was sitting on when he got the idea that wouldn't it be fun to have a place where people could come and families could come and have fun with their kids in a wholesome, happy environment. He was sitting on that bench and he had that idea. Now, we all get ideas like that, don't we? Here's my question for you. We get these ideas, but how many of us act on them? But somehow he did act on it. And what's fun about it is there's the bench where he was sitting. So what ideas are in your mind? What ideas have you had that are going on in your brain, but you sort of discard them and discount them and think they can't really work? Well, I think that happens to all of us lots of times, actually. So don't beat yourself up. Happens to me too. But you know what? I want to reignite those dreams tonight in your life and in my life. I want to reignite the magic and wonder of life so you and I can start to be in tune with the dream that you were brought here to this earth for. Has it ever occurred to you that there's a specific purpose for you that nobody else can fill? It might just be to be a loving person to another person. And that's not even a just. That could change the destiny of generations of people to come. If you can make your relationship work and happiness, have a successful marriage, that by itself is enough of a fulfilling experience. that itself will serve God and life. And wherever you're at, all I want to encourage you tonight in your story of life, you can reignite those dreams. And those dreams will give you energy, vitality, exhilaration. They'll give you a desire to wake up in the morning. That's what you and I have to remember. We have to get excited about our desire to wake up in the morning again. We have to be excited that there's new possibilities, new hopes, new dreams. You and I need to do that. If we can't do that, how are we going to accomplish anything? We're just going to slide into oblivion. But if, on the other hand, we open our hearts to the miracle working power of God in our lives, then amazing possibilities can start to unfold. Amazing possibilities. I don't know if you could hear my dogs in the background. You might be able to. My wife just got home, so they like it when she gets there as they start barking. You may not be able to hear it all. But my friends, all I want you to know is you make a difference. You are important. You make a difference to me. Those of you that tune in, like Kathy, it's who's giving all this information tonight, or Andy, or Tim. Each of you makes a difference. You make a difference wherever you are. Andy makes a difference when he works at the World Series of Poker. My friend Tate makes a difference all sorts of different ways in his life. Each of you make a difference. It's just up to you and I. Are we going to keep dreaming those dreams? Or we can keep believing in those dreams? That's what I want to know. All right, my friends, we're going to go to the break. When we get back, we'll have Ernie here, and I think we're going to have Janet here too. God bless. We'll be back in just a moment. Stay tuned. This is The Gateway Show. So, my friends, it's just fun to be here. It's fun for me to remember what would excite me. You need to think about this too. What would excite you to wake up in the morning? What would give you a feeling like life's worth living? Not just worth living, that it's so good you don't want it to end. What would it take for that to happen for you? That's what I want you to think about. What dream could you ignite in your soul that would start to excite you about life? So you know what? Each one of us, we're all in the same story. We're on this little planet, circling around the sun, floating out in space. There's all sorts of ideas of what's the right way to live or not live. And guess what? You've been given the opportunity to think for yourself, to dream for yourself. When Thomas Edison was born, nobody was dreaming of a light bulb. I mean, a few people may have dreamed of it, but it wasn't happening. All sorts of things like that. What are you dreaming of that could make the world a better place? What are you dreaming of? I'm looking to see if my friends are going to be tuning in right now. Janet and Ernie. But each one of you is a miracle worker. That's what I want to say to you mostly. You are a miracle worker. And you are a miracle. There's somebody in whose life you are a miracle. Your love, your presence, your kindness makes a difference to people. You make a difference to people. Hold on a second. I've got to see what's going on here. Just a minute. So I'm not seeing.
There.
Okay, Janet, you're there. And Ernie, you can come on too.
I'm
Yeah,
trying to
just join the
get my
meeting.
phone. Oh, there it is.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to hang up here. Bye. Hey there, Janet. How are you?
I'm good.
All right.
How about you?
Good too. And Ernie should be on here in just a second also. I don't know why. For some reason, it wasn't connecting for him. I'm not sure I know why. But anyway, hmm, let's
It
see.
wasn't at first for me either.
No, I know. I forget. There's something called the waiting room, and I forgot. I had to make a change in setting on that. Huh. I think. Wait a second.
You
Maybe he's still on.
did?
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I think he'll be on in a second. I don't know. I could. Huh. Maybe I can have Brian help him. Hold on a second here. My friends, welcome back to the Gateway Show. We got Janet Miller online. Hey, Janet, why don't you go ahead and share your prayer for the night with everybody?
I actually do have a prayer tonight.
Okay.
So, and then anyway, so if you're able, you can close your eyes. If not, you can just listen and take this in. God, you are the author of every beginning, the keeper of time, and the whisperer of dreams too sacred for words. You know the hopes I carry quietly. Some I've spoken, others I've buried beneath fear, failure, or the lie that it's too late. But you see them all, and still you can call me to dream. So today, tonight, I bring you my weariness, the doubt that creeps in when time stretches long, when progress feels slow, when I wonder if I missed my moment. Remind me your timing is not mine, that what feels delayed is not denied, that you do not measure worth by age or success or speed, but by faith, surrender, and love. Give me eyes to see beyond what is and into what can be. Give me the boldness to believe in the unseen, to move even when the outcome isn't clear, to plant seeds even when the harvest feels far away. If you've placed the dream in me, then surely you will guide me through. So here I am, open hearted and willing. Refine my dream if you must, redirect it if you will, but never let me stop believing that with you, hope is never wasted and dreams are never lost. Amen.
Fantastic, Janet. That was beautiful. That was
Good.
very, very nice to hear that.
And Ernie's still not here?
No, Ernie is there now.
I'm
Hey,
here.
Oh, good. Yay. Let me move my screen. There you go.
so go ahead and go ahead, Ernie, and share your prayer with us tonight.
Oh, all right. Thank you, Robert. The topic of the prayer is don't give up on your dreams to keep you alive and healthy. Dear Lord, we give gratitude and thanks for this blessed day and for this adventurous life. We pray that we open our hearts to believe in the infinite love and the divine spirit in each one of us. We have complete trust and faith in God to bring peace, joy, prosperity in our lives as we journey following our dreams, keep us alive and healthy in our daily lives. Lord, guide us to be in awareness from within, to embrace liveliness and health as we trust the great divine spirit, which in turn inspires our daily life to be a testimony, sharing God's miracles with each other. We pray for each one of us that everyone in this world will experience the liveliness and health in our daily life, deserving the best, creating heaven and earth, and so it is. Amen.
Beautiful, Ernie. You know, both you and Janet make a very big difference to a lot of people. In fact, people always post on here. They appreciate your prayers and your thoughts and ideas. And um, that's we've been doing this for a long time. How many years has it been, Ernie? You keep pretty good track of it.
Or 11 years. No,
11 years,
on your show.
more than a decade. that
Yes,
we've been doing these
more than
kind
a
of
decade.
all these kind of prayers for people. So that's a pretty amazing phenomena, really, to think about that. Um, well, you know what? Both of you make a big difference, and it is exciting. And I even myself tonight, I was thinking to myself, what dreams have I set aside? Oh, Jimmy Owens, who's been on our show a couple times, and had a heart transplant. He's a very interesting guy. I don't know if you've heard him. You've heard him before, both of you, I think,
Yes.
on the show. And he just said, "Amen, Ernie."
Thank you.
Jimmy is a perfect illustration. I mean, he's got to have dreams to keep him going. He's been given a chance to have another life, really. He's got another person's heart beating inside of him. It's almost, we can't really imagine it, can we? For those that us don't have that experience. And so, yeah, Jimmy, so you make a difference, Jimmy. And you're one of the people I've enjoyed getting to know. And by the way, one of the other things I like to do, we have just a little bit of time left. That's why I like to network. That's how I met Jimmy. You know, I like to get out and meet people because you never know when you're going to meet somebody, just like when I met you, Ernie, at a networking event. And Janet, I met you at one of my prayer groups meetings many, many years ago. And, but you know what? We just got to keep believing. And how do you both feel excited about? How about you, Janet? Are you able to keep excited about the dreams of your life?
Yep, I am.
I think you are. You enjoy doing the weddings you do, don't you?
Yeah, but I'm always working on different stuff, other things too. Yeah.
Well, I know that you have a lot of dreams. I know you inspire a lot of people too, Janet. And Ernie, you do the same thing. You inspire a lot of people also. I'm sure showing up there,
Yeah.
79 years old and showing up,
Yes.
or you're going to be 79, right? Is that what it is?
I'm 79. I got, less than 3 months. Well, I'll be 80
Wow. Are there any
in August.
Are there any
Yeah.
teachers as old as you working there at the school?
No, they were younger. Some are a little bit, but most of them are younger. Yeah, in their 30s, even 40s, 50s.
I think it's pretty amazing that you're doing that at your age, and you seem in great shape.
Oh, thank you. I like it, so I enjoy being around students, academics, and students and teachers.
And Janet, you look in great shape too, and you always have a nice smile on your face and a nice laugh on your lips, and that's always see, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, listen, my friends, we're just about out of time here. All of you that are out there, I want you to know Jimmy, Marianne, your sweet messages, and of course Kathy and Andy, all of you, every single one of you makes a huge difference, including the people on the radio who I don't even see your names. So we just simply say to each and every one of you, may God bless you. Because God's real, miracles are real, and the best is yet to come. So I'm just wishing you the best until we get together again. God bless you all. This is Robert Sidell, completing another Gateway Show. Thank you,
Have
Ernie.
a great week.
Thank you,
Have a
Janet.
great week.
God bless. See you guys soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, Ernie.
Bye-bye now. Bye, Janet. Bye, Robert.
Bye.